3 weeks had passed since the first meeting with the Velkans. The aliens had set up a temporary base on one of Jupiter's smaller moons and were conducting what they called preliminary surveys of the solar system. Admiral So-Jin watched the reports coming in from her various stations, and she did not like what she saw. "They're mapping everything," reported Colonel Ji-woo, head of the Earth Diplomatic Corps. She stood in Admiral So-Jin's office on Luna Base, holding a data pad full of troubling information. Mining sites, shipping routes, population centers. They say it's for protection planning, but it looks more like invasion planning to me. Admiral So-Jin nodded grimly. "What about the asteroid belt?" "That's the worst part. They've sent 3 ships into the belt without asking permission. They're claiming it's part of their protection duties, but they're clearly marking the most valuable asteroids for future mining." "Have they responded to our complaints?" Colonel Ji-woo shook her head. "Captain Yara says we're overreacting. She says young civilizations always worry too much about territorial boundaries. She claims that once we join their protection network, such concerns will seem silly." Admiral So-Jin stood up and walked to the window. She could see Earth in the distance, a blue and white marble hanging in space. Somewhere down there, billions of people were going about their daily lives, unaware that aliens were deciding their future without asking them. "What's the status of our defense preparations?" "All stations are ready. The mining fleet has been repositioned as you requested. Seoul's Pride is standing by with a full load of tungsten rods. The Busan Guardian is running silent near Europa." "Good. I think Captain Yara is about to give us an excuse to show her what human technology really looks like." Colonel Ji-woo smiled. "Should I contact the other ships?" "Not yet. Let's see how she reacts to just one demonstration. No point in showing all our cards at once." The call came 2 hours later. Captain Yara's face appeared on the main communication screen in Admiral So-Jin's office. The alien looked annoyed, which was the first genuine emotion Admiral So-Jin had seen from her. "Admiral, I am disappointed in your government's response to our protection efforts. We are trying to establish proper security for your system, but you continue to file complaints about our necessary surveys. Captain, we appreciate your concern for our safety, but we did not give permission for ships to enter our asteroid belt. That area contains active mining operations and shipping routes." Captain Yara's expression became even more condescending. "Admiral, you must understand that we have experience in these matters. Your small mining ships and cargo vessels are no match for the threats that exist in space. We need to map everything to provide proper protection. With respect, Captain, our mining operations are more capable than you might think. Admiral, please. We have observed your ships. They use chemical rockets and basic nuclear engines. Your weapons are simple missiles and laser arrays. These are adequate for a young civilization, but they are not sufficient for real defense." Admiral So-Jin took a deep breath. "Perhaps a demonstration would help us understand each other better." Captain Yara looked pleased. "Excellent idea. We can show you our plasma cannons in action. There is a large asteroid near your belt that would serve as a good target. Once you see what real weapons can do, you will understand why our protection is necessary. I accept your offer. We'll meet at coordinates that I'll send you in 1 hour." "Perfect. This will be educational for your people." The communication ended. Admiral So-Jin immediately contacted Colonel Ji-woo. "Get me Captain Taeho on Seoul's Pride. Tell him to prepare for a mining demonstration. Full power, maximum range." "Yes, Admiral. Should I also alert the other ships? Have them stand ready but keep them hidden for now. I want to see how Captain Yara reacts to our mining equipment before we show her our military hardware." 1 hour later, Admiral So-Jin sat in the observation deck of Luna Base, surrounded by her senior staff. On the main screen, they could see the Velkan ship approaching a large asteroid about 50,000 kilometers away. The alien vessel was impressive, all smooth curves and gleaming metal. "Admiral," came Captain Taeho's voice over the communication system, "Seoul's Pride is in position. The target asteroid is approximately 2 kilometers in diameter, mostly iron and nickel. Standard mining shot should break it into manageable pieces." "Understood, Captain. Wait for our guests to take their shot first." The Velkan ship moved into position. Admiral So-Jin could see energy building up along its hull as the plasma cannons charged. Bright blue light gathered at several points on the ship, growing brighter and brighter. Then the ship fired. Bolts of superheated plasma streaked across space, striking the asteroid with tremendous force. The impact was spectacular, sending clouds of vaporized rock and metal into space. When the light faded, the asteroid was gone, completely destroyed. Impressive, Colonel Jiwoo said quietly. Admiral Sojin nodded. It really was impressive. The plasma cannons had completely vaporized a 2-kilometer asteroid in seconds. She could understand why the Velkans were confident in their technology. Captain Yara's voice came over the communication system. Admiral, as you can see, our weapons are quite effective. No asteroid or small ship could survive such an attack. This is why we can guarantee your protection. Thank you for the demonstration, Captain. Very impressive indeed. Would you like to see how we handle similar problems? There was a pause. I suppose that would be interesting. Though I should point out that the asteroid is gone, there is nothing left to target. That's all right. Captain Tejo, please select a target for a standard mining operation. Copy that, Admiral. I have a target selected. Iron-nickel asteroid, approximately 3 kilometers diameter, distance 75,000 kilometers. Admiral Sojin heard someone on the Velkan ship make a dismissive sound. 75,000 kilometers was much farther than their plasma cannons had fired. The aliens probably thought the humans were showing off with an impossible shot. Soul's Pride, you are cleared for mining operation. Standard load, maximum efficiency. Understood, Admiral. Railgun charging. Target locked. Firing in 10 seconds. On the screen, Admiral Sojin could see the mining ship Soul's Pride. It was not a pretty vessel like the Velkan ship. It was built for work, all angles and heavy armor, but along its spine ran the distinctive shape of a magnetic rail system, nearly 800 meters long. 5 seconds. Railgun at full charge, firing. There was no flash of light, no spectacular energy display, just a brief flicker along the rail system as magnetic fields accelerated a tungsten rod to tremendous speed. The projectile was invisible, moving too fast for cameras to track. 75,000 kilometers away, the target asteroid simply exploded. Not vaporized like the Velkan target, but shattered into thousands of pieces, each piece flying away at high speed. The destruction was total and instant. There was silence on the communication channel for several long seconds. How? Captain Yara's voice was confused. How did you do that? At that range? We detected no energy discharge. Day 1, a young engineer who had been watching quietly spoke up. Ma'am, that was just a standard mining shot. Tungsten penetrator, about 200 kilograms, accelerated to 15% of light speed. Pretty normal for asteroid-breaking operations. More silence from the Velkan ship. 15% of light speed? Captain Yara's voice had changed. The condescending tone was gone, replaced by something that sounded like concern. That should not be possible. The power requirements alone. Oh, it's not that hard. Day 1 continued, apparently not noticing the change in the alien's tone. The rail system builds up charge over about 30 seconds. Magnetic field acceleration is pretty efficient once you get the hang of it. We've been using railguns for mining operations for almost 50 years now. 50 years? Captain Yara's voice was barely above a whisper. Admiral. Sojin decided it was time to take control of the conversation. Captain, railguns are quite common in our mining operations. Most of our commercial ships carry them for asteroid processing. Is this technology not used in your part of the galaxy? Railguns are theoretical weapons in our databases, primitive kinetic systems that require enormous amounts of power and have limited targeting capability. No civilization has ever made them practical for regular use. Interesting, Admiral Sojin said. Perhaps different civilizations develop different solutions to similar problems. Our railgun technology has proven quite reliable. Admiral, Captain Yara's voice was now very serious. May I ask, what is the largest railgun in your fleet? Well, that would be our military vessels. The mining ships use relatively small systems. Our destroyers and cruisers have much more powerful weapons. Some can accelerate projectiles to 30% of light speed or more. This time the silence lasted almost a full minute. Admiral, Captain Yara said finally, I believe we need to have another meeting. There are things we should discuss. Important things. Admiral Sojin smiled. Of course, Captain. I think that would be very beneficial for both our peoples. As the communication ended, Colonel Jiwoo turned to Admiral Sojin. Well, that went better than expected. Yes, it did. Contact Earth Command. Tell them to prepare briefings on our actual military capabilities. The warning lights on the bridge of the Earth Defense Station flashed red. Commander Tejo stood at his post, watching the screens that showed something impossible. A ship had appeared near Jupiter. Not a human ship. Something else. Sir, we have contact, said Lieutenant Boram from her station. Her voice was steady, but Tejo could hear the excitement underneath. The ship is sending us a message. They want to talk, Tejo nodded. They had trained for this day for years, but it still felt strange. First contact with aliens, real aliens, not the stories from movies or books. He pressed the communication button. This is Commander Tejo of the Earth Defense Force. We receive your message. The reply came quickly. The voice was smooth, almost musical, but spoke perfect English. Greetings, humans of Earth. I am Captain Yara of the Velkan Exploration Fleet. We come in peace. We wish to meet with your leaders and share knowledge. Tejo looked at his crew. Everyone was listening carefully. This was the moment that would change everything for humanity. He had to be careful with his words. Captain Yara, we welcome peaceful contact. Please wait while we contact our leaders. We will arrange a meeting place. Understood, Commander. We will wait at a safe distance. We have much to offer your young civilization. Young civilization. Tejo noticed those words but said nothing. He turned to his communications officer. Get me Admiral Sojin on Luna Base, Priority 1. The connection took only seconds. Admiral Sojin appeared on the main screen. She was a small woman with gray hair, but her eyes were sharp and intelligent. She had been preparing for this moment longer than anyone else in the Earth Defense Force. Commander, report, she said simply. Admiral, we have first contact. A ship calling itself Velkan, commanded by Captain Yara. They request a meeting with our leaders. They claim to come in peace and want to share knowledge. Admiral Sojin was quiet for a moment. Then she nodded. Standard protocol. Tell them to meet us at Luna Station in 72 hours. Full diplomatic team will be ready. And Commander? Yes, Admiral? Remember what we discussed. Let them talk first. Listen more than you speak. We need to understand what they want before we show them what we have. Understood, Admiral. The connection ended. Tejo turned back to the alien ship. He could see it now on the long-range cameras. It was beautiful in a strange way. The ship looked like it was made of silver and blue metal, with curves instead of straight lines. It was much larger than any human ship, at least 3 times the size of their biggest cruiser. Captain Yara, our leaders will meet with you at Luna Station in 3 days. Is this acceptable? Very acceptable, Commander. We look forward to meeting with your people. We have helped many young civilizations take their first steps into the galaxy. Earth will be no different. Again, those words. Young civilization. First steps. Tejo wondered what the aliens really thought of humans. He had a feeling they were about to find out. 3 days later, Admiral Sojin sat in the conference room at Luna Station. She wore her best dress uniform, but she felt more nervous than she had in years. Across from her sat Captain Yara and 2 other aliens. They looked almost human, but their skin had a slight blue tint and their eyes were larger than human eyes. They moved with a grace that seemed almost like dancing. Admiral Sojin, Captain Yara said, it is an honor to meet the leader of Earth's military forces. We have observed your system for some time. Humans show great promise. Thank you, Captain. We are honored by your visit. What brings the Velkan people to our system? Captain Yara smiled. It was a strange smile, both friendly and somehow superior at the same time. We are explorers, Admiral. We search the galaxy for new civilizations to welcome into the galactic community. Earth is ready for the next step in its development. Minister Minho, Earth's chief diplomatic officer, leaned forward. What kind of next step? Technology, of course, said one of the other aliens who had introduced himself as Science Officer Veltar. We can offer you fusion power, plasma weapons, faster than light travel. Technologies that will advance your civilization by centuries. Admiral Sojin kept her face calm. And what would you want in return? Simple things, Captain Yara said. Raw materials. Agricultural products. Some of your people to serve on our ships and learn our ways. It is a fair trade. We protect you from the dangers of space and you provide resources. The word serve bothered Admiral Sojin, but she said nothing. What kind of dangers? Science Officer Veltar made a sound that might have been laughter. The galaxy is not a safe place, Admiral. There are empires that conquer and destroy, pirates who steal and kill. Some even use primitive kinetic weapons, railguns and mass drivers. Very barbaric, but they can damage ships if used in large numbers. Admiral Sojin glanced at Minister Minho. Both of them worked hard to keep their faces neutral. Kinetic weapons, railguns, the aliens spoke of them like they were toys. I see, Admiral Sojin said. And your ships can protect us from these dangers? Of course, Captain Yara said proudly. Our plasma cannons can destroy any ship at long range. Our energy shields can stop any attack. We have not lost a ship to combat in over 200 years. Impressive, Minister Minho said. May we see a demonstration of this technology? Captain Yara seemed pleased by the request. Certainly. We can show you tomorrow. Then you will understand why so many civilizations choose to join our protection network. The meeting continued for another hour. The aliens spoke about trade routes, galactic politics, and the benefits of joining their civilization. They were polite but condescending, like adults talking to children. They assumed humans had nothing valuable to offer except labor and raw materials. When the meeting ended, Admiral Sojin walked Captain Yara to the docking bay. The alien ship was even more impressive up close. Its hull gleamed with some kind of metal that seemed to shift color in the light. Your ship is beautiful, Admiral Sojin said. Thank you. It represents 5,000 years of technological development. Your ships are adequate for a young civilization. With our help, you could build vessels like this in a few centuries. Admiral Sojin nodded politely. We look forward to your demonstration tomorrow. As the aliens departed, Admiral Sojin stood watching their ship disappear into space. Minister Minho joined her at the observation window. They think we're children, he said quietly. Yes, they do. Admiral Sojin turned away from the window. Contact Earth Command. Tell them we need the mining station Soul's Pride to adjust its position. And Minister? Yes, Admiral? Tomorrow is going to be very interesting. Minister Minho smiled for the first time since the aliens arrived. Should I contact the Busan Guardian as well? Not yet. Let's see how they react to the mining demonstration first. Then we'll decide what else they need to see. Admiral Sojin walked back toward the command center. The aliens wanted to show off their plasma cannons and energy shields. They wanted to prove how superior their technology was. But they had made one very important mistake. They thought kinetic weapons were primitive and barbaric. They had no idea what humans had really accomplished with those primitive railguns. Tomorrow they would start to learn. The intelligence reports came in waves over the following week. Commander Junki sat in the secure briefing room deep beneath Luna Base, surrounded by data screens showing ship movements throughout the galaxy. The news was not good. 3 separate fleets are moving toward our system, he reported to the assembled Earth Defense Council. The Dakari are sending 12 ships, including 2 battlecruisers. The Zeth Collective has mobilized 15 vessels, and the Moric Empire is approaching with what appears to be their entire 3rd fleet, over 20 ships. President Miran, attending the meeting via secure link from Earth, looked grim. Their intentions? All 3 are claiming peaceful missions, scientific study, cultural exchange, resource surveys, but their fleet compositions tell a different story. These are invasion forces, not research expeditions. Admiral Sojin studied the tactical displays. 47 alien warships all converging on the solar system. Even with humanity's railgun advantage, those were overwhelming numbers. What's our defensive status? General Yuna stood up and activated the main display. It showed the solar system with dozens of green dots representing human forces. We have 8 destroyers, 4 cruisers, and the battleship Sejong the Great. All ships have been upgraded with the latest railgun systems. Mining stations throughout the asteroid belt have been armed and are standing by. 30 alien ships against 12 human ships, President Miran said quietly. The numbers don't look good. Numbers aren't everything, Admiral Sojin replied. But we need to make sure our advantage is clear to them before shooting starts. The best victory is the one where nobody has to die. Commander Junki pulled up a communication intercept. Admiral, we've been monitoring their military channels. They think this will be easy. The Dakari are telling their allies that human ships are slow and poorly armed. They're planning to overwhelm us with massed plasma fire. They still don't understand, General Yuna said with a slight smile. They saw one railgun shot destroy one ship and they think it was luck. They don't realize that our military vessels are designed for exactly this kind of engagement. President Miran leaned forward on the screen. Admiral, what are our options? We prepare for battle, but we give them one chance to leave peacefully. Director Yunwoo has been working on something that might help. Director Yunwoo of the Technology Council had been quiet during the briefing, but now she activated a holographic display showing technical readouts. We've been analyzing the shield frequencies and hull compositions of the approaching fleets. Our computers can calculate exactly where to hit each ship for maximum damage with minimum shots. Precision targeting, Commander Junki said. Take out their engines and weapons without destroying the ships entirely. Exactly. We can disable their entire fleet without killing anyone, but only if they give us time to line up our shots properly. Admiral Sojin nodded. Then we make time. Captain Byung-ho, what's the status of the Incheon strike and Daegu vengeance? Captain Byung-ho had been standing quietly near the back of the room. The two newest ships in Earth's fleet were his responsibility, and he took that duty seriously. Both ships are fully operational, Admiral. Cloaking systems are working perfectly. The aliens have no idea we're here. The Incheon strike and Daegu vengeance were humanity's most advanced warships, built in secret over the past 5 years. They incorporated every lesson learned from decades of railgun development. Each ship carried 48 railgun turrets and enough tungsten ammunition to fight a major battle. More importantly, they were invisible. Human stealth technology had developed along a completely different path from the rest of the galaxy. While aliens focused on energy shields and plasma weapons, humans had perfected the art of hiding. The new ships could mask their heat signatures, deflect sensor scans, and move silently through space. Position them at the edge of the system, Admiral Sojin ordered. Let the aliens see our regular fleet, but keep the strike and vengeance hidden until we need them. 3 days later, the alien fleets arrived. The Dakari came first, their massive ships emerging from faster-than-light travel in perfect formation. The battlecruiser Conqueror's Might led the way, followed by 6 destroyers and 5 support vessels. Their hulls gleamed with fresh armor, and their plasma cannon arrays glowed with ready energy. The Zeth Collective arrived 6 hours later. Their ships were different from the Dakari, more angular, covered with sensor arrays and communication equipment. They preferred to overwhelm enemies with coordinated attacks and superior information gathering. The Moric Empire was the last to arrive, and their fleet was the most intimidating. 21 ships of various sizes, all painted in threatening red and black colors. The Moric were known throughout the galaxy as conquerors, and their ships looked the part. Admiral Sojin watched from the bridge of the cruiser Soul's Honor as the alien fleets took positions around Earth's solar system. They were spreading out, trying to surround the inner planets and cut off any escape routes. Admiral, came the voice of Captain Taeho from his destroyer. They're hailing us. Put them through. The main screen activated, showing 3 alien commanders. Admiral Sojin recognized Ambassador Kren of the Dakari, but the other 2 were new faces. The Zeth commander looked almost human, except for silver eyes and pale blue skin. The Moric leader was clearly a predator species, sharp teeth, clawed hands, and cold reptilian eyes. Humans of Earth, Ambassador Kren said, I am here to correct the mistake of our previous encounter. The Dakari Empire demands that you surrender your railgun technology immediately. You will also submit to our authority and accept our protection. The Zeth commander, who introduced himself as Fleet Admiral Vex Quan, spoke next. The collective agrees with our Dakari allies. Your weapons pose a threat to galactic stability. They must be controlled by more experienced civilizations. The Morak leader simply growled. I am War Chief Torgon. You will surrender or be destroyed. The choice is yours. Admiral Sojin looked at the 3 alien commanders with calm eyes. I am Admiral Sojin of the Earth Defense Force. You have entered our system without permission and are making threats against our people. I will give you one opportunity to withdraw peacefully. Ambassador Kren made a sound that might have been laughter. Admiral, you're outnumbered 4-1. Your small fleet cannot possibly stand against our combined forces. Surrender now and your people will be treated with mercy. You saw what happened to your frigate, Admiral Sojin replied. Are you certain you want to test our defenses again? That was 1 ship against 1 ship, War Chief Torgon snarled. This is 47 ships against 12. The outcome is inevitable. Admiral Sojin was quiet for a moment, then activated her fleet communication system. All Earth defense vessels, this is Admiral Sojin. Battle stations. Prepare for combat operations. Throughout the solar system, human ships powered up their weapons and locked onto targets, but they were still vastly outnumbered. Last chance, Admiral Sojin said to the alien commanders. Leave our system now and no blood will be shed. Foolish humans, Ambassador Kren replied. You force us to demonstrate reality. All Dakari ships prepare to fire. The alien fleets began to move into attack formation. Plasma cannons charged up, missile tubes loaded, and energy shields reached full power. They were confident that sheer numbers would overwhelm the human defenders. Admiral So Jin watched the tactical display as enemy ships maneuvered for optimal firing positions. They were being careful, professional. They didn't want to destroy Earth itself, just defeat its defenders. "Admiral," came Captain Byung-ho's voice over a secure channel. "Incheon Strike and Daegu Vengeance are in position, ready to decloak on your order." "Not yet, Captain. Let them commit to their attack first. I want them to show us everything they have." The alien fleets finished their maneuvering and began to close the distance. Their ships were beautiful and deadly, representing the best military technology that 3 different civilizations could produce. Energy weapons charged, shields glowed, and countless targeting systems locked onto human vessels. Admiral So Jin activated the general communication channel one more time. "Alien fleets, you have 30 minutes to alter course away from this system. We do not wish conflict, but we will defend our home." War Chief Torgan's response was immediate. 30 minutes? "Human, you will be dead in 5. All Moric ships begin attack." The battle was about to begin. Admiral So Jin looked around the bridge of Seoul's honor, seeing the calm determination on the faces of her crew. They were outnumbered, outgunned by conventional standards, and facing some of the most feared military forces in the galaxy. But they had railguns, they had human ingenuity, and they had 2 invisible ships that the aliens didn't even know existed. "All ships, this is Admiral So Jin. Remember your training. Target their engines first, weapons second. We want them alive if possible. And trust in your equipment, it has never let us down before." The alien fleets opened fire. Thousands of plasma bolts, energy beams, and exotic weapons streaked across space toward the human ships. It was the beginning of the largest space battle in galactic history. And Admiral So Jin was about to show 3 civilizations that sometimes the simplest weapons are the most effective. The emergency session in the Galactic Council chambers was unlike anything seen in centuries. Representatives from dozens of species gathered around the massive circular table, their various forms of communication creating a chaos of sounds and lights. At the center of it all sat Ambassador Kren of the Dakari Empire, his red-scaled face showing clear irritation. "This is impossible," Kren growled, his translator converting his words into the common language. "Captain Yara, you are telling us that these humans have weaponized kinetic projectiles to near-light speed. That is beyond the technological capabilities of most council species." Captain Yara stood before the assembled representatives, her usual confidence replaced by obvious nervousness. "Ambassador Kren, I have seen it with my own eyes. Their mining ships destroyed a 3-kilometer asteroid from 75,000 kilometers away. The projectile traveled at 15% of light speed. And they claim their military vessels are much more powerful." The Dakari ambassador slammed his clawed hand on the table. "Mining ships? They use these weapons for mining. This cannot be allowed to stand. The Dakari Empire has conquered 17 star systems with our plasma bombardments. Our energy shields have never been breached. These humans pose a threat to the established order." A representative of the peaceful Zanari species raised one of her forearms. "Ambassador Kren, perhaps we should approach this diplomatically. The humans have shown no aggressive intentions. Maybe these weapons are purely defensive." "Defensive." Ambassador Kren's voice rose. "No species develop such weapons for defense alone. Mark my words, within a generation these humans will be conquering their neighbors with these railguns of theirs." Captain Yara shifted uncomfortably. "With respect, Ambassador, the humans have been nothing but polite. Their Admiral So Jin has offered to share some of their technology through normal trade agreements." "Share?" Another species representative spoke up. This one insectoid with clicking mandibles. "What could we possibly offer them in return? If they have surpassed our weapons technology, what do they need from us?" This question hung in the air unanswered. The truth was becoming clear to everyone in the chamber. For thousands of years, the galaxy had developed along certain technological paths. Energy weapons, plasma drives, force shields. Kinetic weapons were considered primitive, a dead end that no advanced civilization would pursue. But the humans had taken that dead end and turned it into something revolutionary. Ambassador Kren stood up, his full height making him tower over most of the other representatives. "I propose a direct test of these human weapons. The Dakari battlecruiser Conqueror's Fist will challenge them to a combat exercise. When our shields prove immune to their primitive projectiles, this panic will end." "Ambassador," Captain Yara said nervously, "I must advise against this. The humans were very careful to demonstrate their capabilities without causing offense. If you challenge them directly, then we will see what they are truly made of, Ambassador Kren finished. Fear has clouded your judgment, Captain. The Dakari have never lost a ship-to-ship engagement. Our shields can absorb the energy of a small star. No kinetic weapon, no matter how fast, can penetrate them. The vote was swift. The Council authorized a technical demonstration between a Dakari vessel and a human ship to be conducted in neutral space near the human system. It would be presented as a friendly competition, a way for both species to learn from each other. 2 days later, General Yuna of the Earth Defense Force stood in the briefing room aboard Luna Base, facing a group of her most trusted officers. The Dakari challenge had been delivered through official diplomatic channels, and Earth's government had agreed to the demonstration. This is not a friendly competition, General Yuna said bluntly. The Dakari want to prove that their technology is superior to ours. They want to show the galaxy that humans are not a threat. We're going to prove them wrong. Captain Dongsu of the destroyer Busan Guardian leaned forward. General, what are the rules of engagement? Decommissioned vessels only. No live crews except for remote operators. The Dakari will provide an old frigate. We'll use the decommissioned destroyer Mokpo Victory. Both ships will be stripped of everything except basic weapons and shields. Lieutenant Commander Arin, the fleet's best gunnery specialist, raised her hand. General, do we know anything about Dakari shield technology? Intelligence suggests they use standard energy dispersion fields. They absorb and redirect energy weapons like plasma cannons and laser arrays, very effective against conventional weapons. General Yuna paused. But we're not using conventional weapons. The testing ground was established in empty space, halfway between Earth and the outer planets. News of the demonstration had spread throughout the galaxy, and dozens of ships from various species gathered at a safe distance to observe. It was being called the most important technological test in galactic history. Admiral Sojin watched from the command center on Luna Base as the two ships moved into position. The Dakari frigate was typical of their design philosophy. Massive and intimidating, covered in armor plating and bristling with plasma cannon arrays. Its shields were already active, creating a shimmering bubble of energy around the vessel. The Mokpo Victory looked tiny by comparison. It was an older human destroyer, built 20 years ago and scheduled for scrapping, but it had been fitted with the latest railgun systems and its magnetic rail arrays gleamed along the ship's spine. Both vessels are in position, reported the neutral observer from the Velkan ship. Dakari frigate shows full shields and weapons ready. Human destroyer shows weapons ready, but no visible shielding. Ambassador Kren's voice came over the communication channel from his observation ship. Humans, are you certain you do not want to activate your energy shields? This is your last chance to avoid embarrassment. Captain Dongsu, operating the Mokpo Victory by remote control from Luna Base, replied calmly. Ambassador, we appreciate your concern, but we are ready to proceed. Very well. Let us see what these famous human railguns can do against proper defensive systems. Dakari frigate, you may commence your attack. The Dakari ship opened fire immediately. Dozens of plasma bolts streaked across space, each one carrying enough energy to vaporize a city block. The attack was coordinated and precise, designed to overwhelm any defense system. But the Mokpo Victory was no longer where the plasma bolts were aimed. The human ship had accelerated at the last second, using its superior maneuvering thrusters to dodge the incoming fire. Every single plasma bolt missed. Impressive maneuvering, admitted the Velkan observer. The human vessel avoided the entire first salvo. Ambassador Kren's voice showed irritation. A lucky dodge. Continue firing. Eventually they will have to take a hit. The second salvo was even more intense. The Dakari gunners had calculated the human ship's movement and fired at where they thought it would be. This time, several plasma bolts struck the Mokpo Victory's hull directly. The impacts caused spectacular explosions, lighting up the hull with brilliant flashes of energy. When the light faded, the human ship was still there, still moving, apparently undamaged. How is that possible? Demanded Ambassador Kren. Our plasma cannons should have melted through their armor. General Yuna smiled grimly. Adaptive armor plating. We don't use energy shields because we don't need them. Our ships are designed to absorb and disperse energy attacks through their hull structure. Impossible! No armor can withstand plasma fire of that intensity. Dakari armor can't, General Yuna replied. Human armor can. The demonstration was far from over. For the next 10 minutes, the Dakari frigate poured fire into the human destroyer. Plasma cannons, particle beams, even exotic energy weapons that most species had never seen before. The Mokpo Victory took hit after hit, its hull glowing with absorbed energy, but it kept moving and kept fighting. Finally, Ambassador Kren's patience ran out. "Enough, human ship, it is your turn to fire. Let us see these railguns that have caused such concern." Captain Dongsu's voice was calm and professional. "Understood, Ambassador. Single shot, standard combat load. Firing now." There was no dramatic buildup. The magnetic rails along the destroyer's spine glowed briefly, and then the tungsten penetrator was on its way. The projectile crossed the distance between the ships in less than 2 seconds. It struck the Dakari frigate's energy shields at 30% of light speed. The shields didn't slow it down at all. The tungsten rod, barely 20 centimeters long and massing 50 kilograms, punched through the energy barrier like it wasn't there. It passed completely through the frigate's hull, entering through the front armor and exiting through the rear, leaving a perfectly round hole through the entire length of the ship. The frigate immediately began venting atmosphere and debris. Emergency lights flashed along its hull as automated systems tried to seal the breach, but the damage was too extensive. Within minutes, the ship was dead in space. The silence over the communication channels was absolute. Finally, Ambassador Kren's voice came through, barely above a whisper. How did it pass through our shields? Our energy barriers should have stopped it." Lieutenant Commander Aaron, monitoring the demonstration from Luna Base, provided the answer. "Ambassador, your shields are designed to disperse energy attacks. They work by absorbing and redirecting energy beams and plasma." The space around Earth erupted in light and fire as 3 alien fleets unleashed their full fury. Thousands of plasma bolts streaked through the darkness, each one carrying enough energy to level a mountain. Energy beams swept across space like deadly searchlights. Exotic weapons that had conquered dozens of worlds discharged their power in coordinated waves. Admiral So-Jin watched from the bridge of Seoul's Honor as the storm of destruction approached her small fleet. The alien attack was impressive, coordinated, and overwhelming. It should have been enough to destroy any defense force in the galaxy. But the human ships were no longer where the weapons were aimed. "Evasive maneuvers complete," reported Captain Dongsu from the destroyer Busan Guardian. "All ships have avoided the first salvo." Throughout the human fleet, captains and crews worked with practiced efficiency. They had trained for this moment for years, knowing that eventually someone would challenge Earth's defenses. Their ships twisted and turned through space, using their superior maneuvering systems to avoid the incoming fire. The few shots that did connect struck adaptive armor plating designed to absorb and disperse energy attacks. The human ships glowed with absorbed heat, but their hulls held firm. "Impossible," War Chief Torgan's voice crackled over the communication channel. "How are they avoiding our targeting computers?" Fleet Admiral Vexquan of the Zeth Collective provided the answer. "Their ships are faster than our projections indicated. And their armor, it's absorbing our plasma fire without significant damage." Ambassador Kren's voice was filled with frustration. "Continue firing! Concentrate all fire on their largest ship." The alien fleets adjusted their targeting, focusing their combined firepower on Seoul's Honor. The cruiser disappeared in a blinding cloud of plasma and energy beams. When the light faded, the ship was still there, still moving, its hull glowing white-hot but intact. Admiral So-Jin activated her fleet communication system. "All ships commence return fire. Remember, precision shots only. Target engines and weapon systems." The human response was swift and devastating. 12 ships fired simultaneously, their railguns sending tungsten penetrators across space at 30% of light speed. The projectiles were invisible to the naked eye, moving too fast for most sensors to track, but their effects were immediate and obvious. The Dakari battlecruiser Conqueror's might took 3 hits in rapid succession. The first penetrator punched through its main engine assembly, sending the massive ship tumbling out of control. The second destroyed its primary plasma cannon array. The third disabled its command center, leaving the ship dead in space. Across the battlefield, similar scenes played out as human railguns found their targets. A Zeth destroyer lost half its hull to a single shot. A Morak cruiser split in 2 as a tungsten rod passed through its power core. Ships that had conquered star systems were reduced to floating wreckage in seconds. "Status report," Admiral So-Jin called out. "First exchange complete. reported Captain Teho. 12 enemy ships disabled or destroyed. No damage to our fleet. The surviving alien ships fell back, their commanders trying to understand what had just happened. Their combined fleets had fired thousands of shots, using weapons that should have obliterated any enemy force. In return, the humans had fired 12 shots and crippled a quarter of their fleet. War Chief Torgan's voice was no longer confident. What kind of weapons are these? How did they penetrate our shields so easily? They're not energy weapons, came a new voice over the communication channel. Captain Byung-ho of the Incheon strike had decided it was time to reveal himself. They're kinetic projectiles, mass accelerated to relativistic speeds. 2 new ships materialized out of empty space, their cloaking systems deactivating to reveal hulls bristling with railgun turrets. The Incheon strike and Daegu Vengeance took positions flanking the alien fleets, their weapons already locked onto targets. You have been surrounded, Admiral Sojin announced calmly. Your shields cannot stop our weapons. Your armor cannot deflect them. You are outmatched in every way that matters. Fleet Admiral Vexquan studied his tactical display with growing horror. The 2 new human ships were positioned perfectly to destroy his entire fleet. Their railgun systems showed full charge status, ready to fire at any moment. This is impossible, Ambassador Kren whispered. How did we not detect them? Captain Byung-ho answered. Different technological development paths, Ambassador. While your civilizations focused on energy weapons and shields, humans perfected stealth technology and kinetic weapons. We took different roads to the same destination. The alien fleets were trapped. Their ships were scattered and disorganized after the first exchange. Many vessels were already crippled or destroyed. The survivors found themselves caught between 3 groups of human ships, all armed with weapons that could penetrate any defense. War Chief Torgan was the first to accept reality. Morek fleet, stand down. Repeat, stand down. Do not fire unless fired upon. Fleet Admiral Vexquan quickly followed.
Zeth ships, cease all hostile actions.
Lower weapons and shields. Ambassador Kren held out the longest, his pride warring with his survival instincts. Finally, he activated his communication system. Dakari fleet, surrender. We surrender to the humans. Admiral Sojin felt a mixture of relief and sadness as the alien weapons powered down. Relief that the battle was over without more bloodshed, sadness that it had come to this at all. Medical ships are standing by to assist with your damaged vessels, she announced. We will help evacuate wounded and provide safe passage to anyone who wishes to return home. The next few hours were busy with rescue operations. Human medical teams worked alongside alien survivors, saving lives and repairing what could be repaired. The aliens watched in amazement as their former enemies risked themselves to help injured alien crews. Captain Hyunwoo of the destroyer, Gwangju's Pride, personally led a rescue operation to evacuate crew members from a crippled Zeth vessel. When asked why humans would help their enemies, he simply replied, because they need help, and we can provide it. This simple act of compassion did more to change alien attitudes than all the demonstrations of military power combined. 3 days later, representatives from all 3 alien civilizations met with Earth's leaders on Luna Base. The meeting room was very different from the first encounter with Captain Yara weeks earlier. This time the aliens spoke with respect and genuine interest in cooperation. Admiral Sojin, Ambassador Kren said formally, the Dakari Empire wishes to apologize for our aggressive actions. We underestimated both your military capabilities and your character as a people. Fleet Admiral Vexquan nodded agreement. The Zeth Collective would like to establish formal diplomatic relations with Earth. We have much to learn from your technological development. War Chief Torgan, his arm in a sling from his ship's battle damage, spoke last. The Morek Empire respects strength above all else. You have proven your strength, but also your mercy. We would be honored to call humans our allies. Ambassador Seojun, Earth's chief diplomat, responded carefully. We appreciate your words and we welcome the opportunity for peaceful relations. But let us be clear, Earth will remain independent. We will not submit to any external authority. Of course, Ambassador Kren said quickly. The galaxy has learned that humanity cannot be conquered or controlled. You have earned your place as equals among the civilized species. Over the following months, the political landscape of the galaxy changed dramatically. News of the human victory spread to every corner of known space. Species that had considered challenging Earth quietly canceled their plans. Others began sending diplomatic envoys, hoping to establish trade relationships. Dr. Sang Min's research teams found themselves overwhelmed with requests for technological cooperation. Alien scientists wanted to understand railgun technology, while human researchers were eager to learn about alien power sources and materials science. The combination proved revolutionary. Human kinetic weapons powered by alien fusion reactors proved devastating in effectiveness. Alien ships equipped with human stealth technology became nearly invisible to conventional sensors. Both sides benefited from the exchange. 6 months after the battle, Admiral Sojin stood on the observation deck of Luna Base, watching a mixed fleet of human and alien ships conducting joint training exercises. Former enemies now worked side by side, learning from each other and building mutual trust. Captain Yara, the Velkan who had started it all, approached and stood beside her. "Admiral, I must ask, did you know this would happen when we first met?" Admiral Sojin considered the question carefully. "I knew that eventually someone would challenge us. I hoped it could be resolved peacefully, but I prepared for war. The best way to avoid a fight is to be so ready for it that your enemies choose not to start one. And now the galaxy has learned something important. Technological advancement doesn't always follow predictable paths. Sometimes the species that seems primitive has actually found a better way to solve old problems." Captain Yara nodded slowly. "The Council is preparing new guidelines for first contact with unknown species. No more assumptions about primitive civilizations." "Good. The universe is big enough for many different approaches to the same challenges.